What's up everyone, welcome back to a brand new video. During the last part, we got more into Dragon Ball Super, seeing a familiar villain return, although in a much different way than you might expect. Surprisingly, Cooler did exist in the future, but pretty unsurprisingly he started out evil, and his evilness stayed. He wasn't going to turn good, and eventually he ended up getting quote-unquote killed by Trunks. And by that I mean he got partially destroyed and then merged with the Big Getty Star. You can check out the last part if you haven't already to get the full story. We'll be picking up right from there and continuing the story into its finale today. For this video, let's hit a like goal of 3,000 likes. It lets me know you like videos like this, and it really helps out the channel, so be sure to drop a like if you enjoyed this series. Anyways, let's pick up from here and finish this story. So we're going to be doing something a bit different with this one. Of course, we are still going into the Tournament of Power, but I'm going to kind of breeze through it. Not entirely like I do with the Universe 6 tournament, but I've covered the Tournament of Power so much in my other videos that I feel like it gets monotonous after some time. There's not too much I could change up about it, and I'm more so focused on the stuff that happens afterwards because that's actually very different and very important. So, let's start covering it. Thankfully, the Tournament of Power team is pretty easy to create. It's pretty much the same as it was in canon, except instead of Frieza, you obviously have Cooler on there. Everyone else is the exact same, not in terms of their strength, but in terms of the same people. And with Cooler being on the team, it's not like they have to recruit someone that they don't trust. Frieza was too much of a wild card. Cooler is actually an ally, someone they know they could trust and depend on. While also being very strong and probably the strongest on the team right now. Although, Goku and Vegeta are still trying to get ahead. They feel like they have something in mind, something that they could utilize. But the two are going down very different paths. As for Goku, he's utilizing Whis' training a lot, while as for Vegeta, he's actually focused on kind of emulating Beerus, as is Cooler. Although, Cooler's been trying to evolve himself more lately in different ways. Remember how in the last part they retrieved the computer for the Big Getty Star? Well, Cooler actually did make use of it. Not completely yet, but he gave it to Bulma, and she's gonna begin working on it, seeing if she can make it useful for Cooler somehow. He saw how powerful Metal Cooler was, and of course he's not gonna use the computer in the same way. Instead of the Big Getty Star taking control of him and using his power, it's gonna be the other way around. He wants to take control of that and use its power, while also being way less destructive than that is. Although he still has the God of Destruction role in his mind. He wants to become one day, and Vegeta surprisingly is taking up the same route. Of course, he doesn't want to become an actual God of Destruction, but learning the powers, that could be fun, and the two are kind of competing with each other in this sense. As for Goku, he's not too interested in that, hence the Whis training. This is going to have some big effects on the tournament, specifically with Vegeta. So, as I mentioned, we're going to kind of breeze through it. It's pretty obvious with the team stacked like this, Universe 7 is going to win, and two big breakthroughs happen here. For one, Goku does unlock Ultra Instinct while fighting Jiren. And as for Vegeta, he unlocks something pretty interesting while fighting Toppo. No blue evolution here, no. He goes right from blue into Ultra Ego, something very similar to what Toppo has, but also his own thing. This is one fight I'll actually cover because it's pretty interesting. Toppo and Vegeta are pretty similar in that sense. They're both training under a God of Destruction, utilizing those powers. Although he notices that Vegeta doesn't actually want to become a God of Destruction. He's utilizing those powers for himself in a different way. Toppo's not sure if he respects that. He's throwing away his morals completely to use his God of Destruction mode, while Vegeta's making it his own thing. Maybe he could learn a thing or two from Vegeta. Even though he's a candidate for God of Destruction, maybe he could find a way around this and not completely abandon his former self in order to become one. The two have a duel each using these powers. As for Vegeta, he noticed that Toppo operates differently, although the two are obviously using similar energies and forms. It's pretty much a contest of two equals, and the two have a great experience from it, although Vegeta does end up winning in the end, being the stronger one. But besides that, there's not too much of note that happens in the tournament. Universe 7 is incredibly overpowered. Again, it's the same team except they have stronger people. And the fact that Vegeta has Ultra Ego makes it pretty obvious too that they're going to win here, even if Cooler wasn't on the team. You have Goku with Ultra Instinct, Vegeta with Ultra Ego, Cooler with his Platinum form and God of Destruction powers, Piccolo who's stronger than before, Gohan who has a different kind of strength here. There's so many different variables that affect this. So why did I rush through that? I never really do that, but there's a good reason to. Because there's a lot more that happens in this part that I feel is very important and you guys really want to hear. So I'd rather save the time for that. Anyways, let's stop wasting time by explaining and actually go to it. So, following the tournament itself, Bulma eventually does finish the project, working on the Big Getty Star's chip and trying to fix it, trying to make it so that it's not going to take over Cooler. She gives it to him and installs it, and he feels no different, but he does notice he gets all the data that it collected. She was able to preserve that, which is great. It collected so much data while in the future, from Goku Black, from Trunks, from Cooler, Zamasu, everywhere in that timeline there's so much that it collected. Even Goku, Vegeta, and Cooler himself, not just future Cooler. He could utilize this data for himself, growing a lot stronger and smarter, as well as being able to analyze enemies more effectively now, because he has a computer helping him. It's essentially a cybernetic upgrade for him. You can think of it like having a scouter installed right within him, except it's way more sophisticated than a regular scouter. with all the data of an incredibly powerful supercomputer. Of course, with him in control of the Big Getty Star now, or at least its core, he does have other abilities too. He could actually try and form a new Big Getty Star, not one by destroying other planets, no. Maybe he can go around and just find random asteroids in space or something. Doing that won't have any moral issues. Of course, it's cooler. I mean, he is a good guy, but he's not going to care if he goes to some random planet and absorbs it for himself to get stronger. That's not really that big of a deal for him. Sure, there's ethical issues for anyone else, but for Cooler, nah, that's fine. And it would be pretty cool to try out. He's going to go on a test run first. So, he decides he's going to go very far away from Earth, flying out into space, going into a completely different part of the galaxy. Yes, he's actually going to go out into space and absorb a planet, which no one actually expected him to do right away, but hey, it's Cooler. He's pretty rash, and this is something he would definitely want to do in this scenario. It sounds really fun for him too. And unlike the future Cooler that was using this power, he's not going to be absorbing a planet with life on it. No, he's just going to find a random rock out in space and use those materials to make more metal coolers, or buff himself somehow. He doesn't know how this is going to work, but he's going to find out, and he has no qualms about it. He ends up finding some really weird planet. It's definitely desolate. He doesn't sense any powers on it at first, but before he actually absorbs it, he is going to check it out just in case. It seems completely uninhabitable, which is why he's thinking that no one lives on here. He descends on it, and he sees a yellow wasteland. It's just miles and miles of nothing, and it's a harsh environment. Well, at first. He continues walking around, and suddenly, he picks up on something. Some power, some really strong power. It's flying right towards him. He then sees a man descends with someone else on his back holding onto him. Is that a Saiyan? Wait. A Saiyan all the way out here? What the hell is this? And they're just as confused too. This is obviously Broly and Paragus. They saw Cooler land over here, seeing him enter the atmosphere and all. And up close, they can immediately tell he's a threat. Although, they could use him to get off this planet, but still, it's Cooler of all people. They know he's way worse than Frieza, or at least they assume he still is. And it's a pretty bad look for Cooler because they catch him right in the middle of him absorbing the planet, or at least part of it at first. They immediately mark him as a threat. Of course, they'd like to get off of here, but it seems like Cooler's not going to help them out. A pretty bad judgment on their part. Paragus sicks Broly on Cooler. Wait, he doesn't want to fight. He tries to calm Broly down, but Broly's not hearing it. They're not going to trust Cooler of all people. Frieza, maybe they could, but Cooler has a reputation, a very bad one. He's a lone wolf for a reason. Even the Frieza Force didn't work with him. But something weird happens to Cooler mid-fight, and this will actually really help him out. He doesn't want to kill Broly. He wants to restrain him, definitely. So he doesn't want to power up too much, but as he absorbs more of the planet, he actually notices something interesting. He's already getting control over the Big Getty Star, and he's able to create a few metal coolers too. He only goes into his final form, not his platinum form, because he doesn't want to use too much power and scare them. Clones of him end up being created, as well as him being able to control wires from the planet. Oh, this is neat. This is what that other cooler was doing. Of course, he's not going to trap them or whatever and try to use them as batteries. He just wants to make sure they're restrained, just to stop the fight so there's no killing here. He's able to restrain Broly pretty quickly, as well as Paragus, and he begins explaining to them. He was absorbing the planet because he thought no one was on here, which is why he was searching around at first. He only stopped because he saw them, and he's not going to do it anymore if they're going to stay here. But it's definitely not a good look. Cooler being here is one thing, but him absorbing the planet, especially him describing it that way, yeah, they definitely not going to trust him. As Broly is restrained, he only gets more and more enraged, losing control of himself. Paragus is able to move his hand, reaching for the remote in his pocket and pressing it, trying to restrain Broly even more. This could get really bad if Broly goes out of control, and this causes some pretty big issues with Cooler himself. Broly does get shocked like he planned, but something happens with Metal Cooler himself, or at least the Metal Cooler clones. Through the wires, that current is sent through there too, short-circuiting all of the Cooler clones. And it was pretty stupid on Paragus' part because as the electricity goes through, it ends up hitting him too, completely shocking him, even more than Broly. Oh god, what did Cooler just do? He looks on and he sees. Paragus just falls to the ground. Oh, did Cooler just help kill him on accident? Cooler didn't want this to happen, but why was he doing that to his own son in the first place? Were they trying to escape somehow by doing that? But no, that wouldn't make sense. He saw Broly had the shock collar around him. Why was Paragus shocking his own son? Cooler's trying to figure out what to do now because he didn't want Paragus to die, but that was kind of his own fault. It was a pretty stupid thing to do, and he must have not noticed that he was being controlled by wires and not actually just any other organic parts. And instead of calming Broly's rage, this only makes things worse. Seeing Paragus dead, he goes Super Saiyan. And of course, there's only one person to target, Cooler himself. Uh-oh, this got even worse. And this guy is a Super Saiyan, so maybe it's not that bad. He's seen higher Super Saiyan forms, but no, Broly is actually really strong, even just as a regular Super Saiyan. Crap, maybe this wasn't a great idea, but Cooler doesn't want to kill Broly. Even though Broly's trying to kill him, you can tell he's not doing it in his own control. And he does feel a bit bad for Broly too. Seeing how his father was treating him and the fact that they were on this planet for so long, there's definitely something up with Paragus that he doesn't know about. And he wants to figure it out, but first he needs to stop Broly. He could try and fight him more, but he's gonna have to use more of his power. So, he ends up pulling out Platinum. And he begins absorbing more of the planet too, in order to create some clones in order to restrain Broly. And this actually does help a bit. Having all these clones with him, and using his Platinum form, it actually is able to counter Broly's power, even though it's very great. And he's using it against Broly, using the entire planet of Vampa against him. And he's not fighting to kill here, so he can't just use all of his power. He's just trying to restrain Broly, even though Broly keeps escaping. But something interesting happens. As he absorbs more of the planet, more creatures come out of it, which he didn't even expect. And something really weird happens with Broly. His eyes, they go from being completely white to going back to normal. And he even de-transforms. What? He sees some weird creature, some green snake thing. It's a giant creature too, and it seems pretty scared and it's missing an ear. And then Cooler realizes what's happening. That pelt around Broly's waist, it looks like the exact same color as that creature over there. Is it related somehow? Yeah, he ended up finding Ba on accident, Broly's former friend and pet. And this actually helps Broly calm down and recollect himself. What a weird turn of events, but hey, Cooler's not gonna complain about it. Okay, so he needs to figure out what's been happening here. He's very sorry about Paragus, but Paragus kinda did it to himself, so not really. But he begins explaining to Broly why he's here and how he actually didn't want to do this. He was trying to make sure that no one was on this planet. He just couldn't sense anyone and it didn't seem like there was any sort of intelligent life here. Just random hostile creatures and giant parasitic bugs or whatever. Broly begins explaining their backstory. They were sent here a while ago. And Cooler feels like he knows what this is about. This has something to do with Frieza. No, maybe King Vegeta. Maybe King Vegeta was at fault. That actually sounds like it. Broly knows about Vegeta because Paragus has trained him to hate Vegeta. Not just King Vegeta and the rest of the Saiyans, but specifically Prince Vegeta, the one on Earth right now. Cooler begins explaining, telling him he's got it all wrong. Vegeta's not a bad guy, he's actually a great guy now too. He's reformed, as has Cooler, which is strange because Broly didn't expect this. He's heard about Frieza and Cooler, and he knows Cooler has a bad reputation, which is exactly why they attacked right away. But Cooler begins telling Broly, he has no reason to trust Cooler, but Cooler could take him back to Earth and help him out. He can give him a new home. Vampa is 100% not a great place, and of course he is sad about his father, but Cooler could see that Paragus wasn't really a great parent. So it's probably best not to bring that up right now, but it's worth noting. But Broly asked, if they take him to that planet, take Bob with them too. How is that supposed to work? Cooler has an idea. He flies into space, and then comes back a few minutes later. Broly thought he abandoned him, but Cooler comes back with more metal coolers. Those metal coolers then merge, forming into a giant spaceship of sorts. This will let them bring him back, allowing Broly and Ba to be transported through space. And they might not be able to keep him on Earth, but hey, maybe they could take him to Mars or the moon or something. Terraform a little piece of it, use it for training, and have Ba stay there. Make it a nice habitable environment for him, not like here. Oh yeah, and before he leaves, he absorbs the rest of planet Vampa. It's already too far gone anyways, and he might as well finish what he started. Although he knows now, going forward, this probably isn't the greatest idea to keep doing. But hey, he at least got what he wanted and to get stronger from it. Broly is taken back to Earth, and everyone's pretty glad to meet him. This story Cooler tells him is very weird, but it seems definitely like something Cooler would get up to. So next, of course, we'd have Granola. He would hear that Frieza is killed by Cooler by this point, but still, that doesn't mean he has to trust Cooler or anything. He's glad that Frieza's dead, but apparently there's some Saiyans alive. And of course, Cooler is Frieza's brother, so it's not like Cooler is his savior or anything. He's still gonna wanna go on this plot for revenge. Although it's not really gonna go as planned. He does make his wish, but by the time all this starts, he's gonna be fighting Ultra Instinct Goku, Ultra Ego Vegeta, and Cooler. Having Cooler there actually does make a difference. Goku and Vegeta both have more experience with Ultra Instinct and Ultra Ego here respectively, as well as being stronger from the get-go. And of course, that didn't really help too much in the main story at first. But with them being stronger and Cooler being here, specifically him being Metal Cooler now, that's definitely gonna change a lot. Of course, Broly would probably join the fight too, although they haven't completely gotten his anger under control, so they need to make sure that's good first. Granola is stopped pretty easily, and they realize that they don't need to kill him, although the heaters are an issue. Thankfully, they're able to stop the heaters amidst their plan, before they're even able to make the wish to make Gas the strongest person in the universe. The heaters are all killed pretty quickly, with Granola even joining them. This is so weird, the Saiyans here are actually good. Minato tells him that not all Saiyans were bad, and one actually did save him, but it's weird to see how these ones are actually working with him. Especially Cooler too, because he's Frieza's brother, but no, he apparently killed Frieza with good intentions. He thought that it was just a spat between the two of them, which is pretty much expected. But no, it was him actually killing Frieza because Frieza was a threat, which is weird to hear. That only shows him even more that people could change, especially people like the Saiyans. And thankfully, since the heaters already gathered the Dragon Balls, they're able to use them to counter Granola's wish. Of course, it does erase a bit of his power. That's the condition that the dragon grants. but he does keep some of the strength that he gained, as well as some other stuff too. Both of these turned out way better than they expected. Both Broly and Granola are now good. Not that they were bad to begin with, but they're all allies. It only goes to show what the effects of Cooler had on everyone, because he's pretty much the same way. They never expected him to be an ally, but look at what happened. Look at how he affected all these people. All these people whose lives were ruined by his brother, he pretty much made it right. Everyone's now in better places, even everyone on Earth, the Saiyans especially. Not only did Cooler turn good, but he corrected all the mistakes of his brother. And in the end, he's going down a great path. Beerus recognizes that he'll be a great god of destruction soon, and he works more and more towards that, utilizing the same powers that Vegeta has. All the while, Frieza is just stuck in hell, getting news of all of his brother's success as he just watches on, coping and seething while he's stuck in his personal hell and his cocoon. As Frieza screams in rage, this is where we'll end off this series. So, what did you guys think about this scenario? Leave any thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to see what you guys think. If you like this video, be sure to drop a like. If we hit that like goal, it really helps out the channel and it lets me know you want to see more videos like this. If you haven't already, why not subscribe? As well as hitting the bell icon to be notified about any future uploads on my channel, including more videos like this one, or maybe more parts of the series in the future. Anyways, thank you all for watching, thanks for supporting this scenario, and I'll see you all in my next video.